Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. There is a lot of news coming in, but in this video specifically, I wanted to share two solutions right in our face right now that can make all the difference if it's implemented. And I will talk about that in the larger context of what's also happening in New York City, which looks like it will become the #1 epicenter in the world for this sickness, as the United States right now is on pace to have the worst outbreak than anywhere else in the world. Away from the fear, away from the panic, away from the spin, we're going to get into that, plus a lot more as an independent news organization that is supported by you. Now, I would definitely urge people to make sure that they have enough food, enough water for themselves and their family members for a while, to make sure they have a good shelter before doing anything. And for the people who are secure during these very uncertain times, I sincerely want to thank you for allowing us to continue to work for you through your donations, since of course YouTube is trying to take us out of business. This month we will actually lose money. And for the few people who help, I sincerely can't thank you enough. But again, I reiterate, make sure you have a good food and water supply and a good shelter to be in during these crazy times. Now, just jumping right into it, the news is just absolutely haywire. There's so many different things we could focus on, but let's just focus around New York City and these two kind of solutions to all of this that I truly believe, if implemented, will make all the difference. Now again, as the numbers increase, New York City is the city that is most heavily hit, with an extremely dense population living on top of each other. The city has been inundated with unknown people with this sickness to the point where they have stopped testing and tracing the majority of the population, and now the city is even considering closing all parks, playgrounds, and streets even. Yes, they're talking about closing down the streets in New York City to push for more people to social distance. This is as New York City morgues are near capacity right now, and makeshift morgues are being built by emergency personnel and the National Guard, as of course there will be an inevitable rise in number. And yes, this is a very urgent, drastic situation that again could have been preventable in many different ways. Also, information is coming in that half of New York City's cases are found in adults under the age of 45. Yet again, confirming the data that we've been looking at weeks ago, that young people are severely affected by this as well. Now, there are many new therapies and treatments being tested in New York City. In New York State, they are also going to be doing tests in order to determine which medical professionals can return to work, which are showing promising signs. But even with all of this, there is still a massive influx of people who need to be in ICUs, in medical facilities, in beds that are just not there yet. So New York is actually scrambling to just find enough beds, and even relaxing regulations, saying that a bed and just one ventilator could be considered its own ICU unit. And as all of this develops, this is definitely an unprecedented situation, that a lot of needless regulations needed to be cut, and there is still a lot of regulations, rules, and government bureaucracy in the way of handling this entire crisis the right way. And again, a lot of this could have been prevented by simply following the pandemic protocol, which again wasn't followed. It wasn't taken seriously by many officials. And still, one of the biggest solutions to all of this is not even talked about on the mainstream media, nor by the political leadership of this country, even though there's many studies proving that it effectively can work, of slowing down this crisis, preventing the destruction of the economy, preventing the government taking away your rights, preventing more innocent people being hurt from this. And it all simply comes down to wearing a mask. Yeah, it's that simple. Wearing a mask. That's it. Yeah. It's really that simple. I don't know how else to say it. And when you look at the charts and when you look at the data, especially with countries and cities and societies where wearing a mask is normal, predominantly Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and even South Korea in some aspects, you could see a big difference and a huge empty space between societies that it's acceptable to wear a mask in compared to societies where it's not. Like Western societies like the United States, Italy, Spain, Germany, Iran, France. And personally, from traveling to these places myself, It's even a bit of a culture shock to see how many people actually wear masks, but it's been normalized in those societies. And it's been done because of previous flus, viruses, and pandemics that have happened all throughout Asia that have also been predominantly stopped because of the majority of people there wearing masks. The number of influenza outbreaks have completely skyrocketed down after the use of these masks. And if the majority of people in the United States would wear masks, this would drastically stop the spread of this sickness and stop the overlining bigger consequences because of it. That, along with testing, which has been absolutely horribly done in the United States, totally stops this virus. A scientist who just conducted a mass test in one Italian town showed how testing everyone stopped this sickness in that one particular town because they were able to find asymptomatic carriers of this sickness that spread it to others unknowingly. If the United States would have done those two things right, like the other countries are doing, making sure people have masks, making sure people are tested, we wouldn't be in this entire mess of a situation that we are in now. But what did the United States do? Well, the Surgeon General told people, don't wear masks, especially if you're healthy, even though people who think they're healthy are asymptomatic. Yes, the Surgeon General was telling the United States, and the mainstream media ran these headlines like it was wildfire. Masks don't help. This is just the flu. Don't worry, guys, this is just the flu. As I've been raising the alarm bells here, and you could see from watching our playlist on this, I've been raising and telling people, hey, this is serious, take this seriously. The mainstream media wasn't. They were puppeteering idiotic government lines, regurgitating them back to you, telling you not to wear a mask. As if this was all deliberately done. That's how much in your face it was. And still, the problem continues as the federal government and their bureaucracy are holding up the production of new masks being made in large quantities for 90 days, pending their approval. Why? Because of regulations, which again at this time is utterly insane. And what's even crazier, there are people who are being fired for wearing masks, including individuals that I know. I know a therapist that literally was fired from her job because when she was meeting with people one-on-one, she decided to wear a mask during these meetings, which should be complimented, should be rewarded, should be something that we see in the streets. Be like, yes, that's a person that actually cares not to spread this sickness to somebody else. That's a great thing. It should be complimented. But no, she was reamed at, screamed at, punished, and fired from her job, as well as many other, including government officials like New York correctional officers that are told and not allowed to wear any masks. Correctional officers that, of course, commute to work or in their communities might get the virus. It spreads in the prison like a wildfire, and now we have mass release of the jails and just immense human suffering because of asinine, backwards, uninformed, idiotic government officials that are making this situation that much worse. In London, the mayor declared that the UK is on lockdown, and a part of that lockdown, he decided to limit the number of subways available to people. What did that mean? Look what's happening here. Massive crowds on the subways and public transportation, since of course now the government is limiting the availability of it. And look at this picture. Look how closely tight everyone is next to each other, and there's only one person wearing a mask here. When in reality, everyone should be informed that they need to be wearing the masks now. And you might not have one. Make one. Build one. This also, by the way, helps build immunity to this, since people who are introduced to smaller forms of this virus have a better chance of dealing with it, since their immune system gets ready to fight it, compared to individuals who get a bigger dose or a bigger blow or a bigger infection of the virus that, of course, are inundated with it and then need to be hospitalized. The curve could be flattened. Less people could be sick. Less people would need hospitals. The hospitals could actually run if we all have masks. You don't know where to get one. You don't know where to buy one. Make one. Again, there's many websites, there's many tutorials, there's many videos showing people exactly how to do this. We shouldn't just rely on one company, 3M, that again is not providing enough of these masks. They're only producing 1 million masks a day. But in reality, some people estimate that we might need as much as 1 billion masks to handle this entire crisis, especially moving forward, since of course industry is stalled by government action making this worse. Again, it's just atrocious seeing these headlines from CNN by a lying government that they don't fact check, that they don't question, saying, you don't need masks. It's fine. These physicians says you don't need them at all. And this is absolute garbage, trash, that at the end of the day created the horrible situation that we're dealing with right now. Again, one person can infect as many as close to 60,000 other individuals, since of course this sickness is very infectious. And why wouldn't you wear a mask? Should be the question. Why isn't the media, why isn't the government telling people, make masks, get masks? The Surgeon General clearly lied in their first initial response, and still for some asinine, idiotic reasons, there's still some kind of shaming of individuals who wear masks and take this seriously. Again, if someone is going out of their way to make sure that you don't get sick, that person should be seen in high regard rather than all the other idiots out there that are literally licking doorknobs on TikTok for views here and are allowing the government to make this more of a crisis that it is, that they, of course, will intervene in, will create more laws, more regulations that destroys your freedom, prosperity, and liberty. Again, it's that simple, folks. Wear masks, prevent the spread of this, bring the numbers back down, and let's not give government more of an excuse to intervene in our lives. Again, there's also talk by Donald Trump of potentially disregarding the doctors, not listening to them, and prioritizing the economy over, of course, the possibility of elderly people being hurt by this. The Israeli defense minister also came out today and talked about how isolating elderly people, letting younger people get a herd immunity to this is the right thing to do, according to him. But again, we can't just be anxious here and make irrational decisions based off pure boredom, greed, anxiety, or any other emotions that clearly get rid of any logical thinking, like we're seeing from individuals like this perfect representation of a douche flute that's saying that he is sick of supposed experts. And again, we have to understand here, this virus is still developing. It is something new. It is something that we're still learning about every single day that affects different people in many different ways, including children. Today also being the first time that a child died because of this sickness, as of course, inevitably these numbers will increase. Now, looking at the data from Italy, a lot of individuals who had pre-existing conditions, diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and many other immune-compromised problems. Those were the very large majority of people who died from this, as well as the elderly. But this sickness still is having a tremendous, devastating impact on young Americans, destroying their organs, creating infertility in some, and long-term problems for the rest of their lives. We can't just prioritize the economy, just like Spain did. Spain prioritized tourist season that specifically came from northern Italy. They are being savaged by this sickness as their mortality rate is skyrocketing. There's people laying on the floors of hospitals. Their system is totally overrun, and it's looking like Spain will also be the country that's most devastated by this as well. And again, all of this could be prevented. Get rid of the regulations stopping companies from making masks. Let people make their own masks. Get the word out. Tell all your friends, people in your community, people in your city, people that you may know, people on your social media, hey, if we all wear masks, the spread of this could be halted, the curve could be flattened, the economy could reopen, and we wouldn't have this crisis that we have right now. Also, quick note on a lot of the economic things that are happening. I'm covering that on the second backup channel, which you should definitely check out. It's called Change the News. I'm doing that with Tim Picciott. I go into a lot of the different economic news in there. There's a lot of major bailouts happening right now to the tune of $6 trillion. A lot of that going to Wall Street, a very little bit going to personal individuals. And maybe instead of just, giving people money, how about you just stop taking it away? Again, there's so many documented historical lessons where governments take a step back away from economies, allow the free market to actually thrive, don't do socialism for the super rich, don't bail out the banks. That shows to create prosperity, and we're avoiding all of that for $1,000, $1,200 check from the government. Meanwhile, they're giving away the keys to the house to the banksters behind the scenes. So instead of getting your $1,200, how about we don't let the government steal from us in the beginning? We should just get rid of taxes all. And I mean, in reality, why not? The government just prints out their own money anyway. The balance sheets don't matter. And if they really want to help the average American, you would stop stealing from them, standing in their way, and allowing small, lower, and middle class business and entrepreneurship to thrive. Also, before I end this video, I really want to thank all the amazing individuals out there who are still working, who are still out there in the streets, who are still essentially risking themselves to make sure our basic needs are met. These are truly the heroes of our day. I never looked up to celebritards or jocks who just put a ball in a hole. Truly, if there ever is a time to show appreciation and respects to hardworking individuals, it is now, it is today, the individuals that still keep this country running. Sincerely, if you're one of these individuals, thank you from the bottom of my heart. That's my message. If you agree with it, please share it with your friends and family members. I can't tell you enough the algorithm changes, the downranking, the demonetizations that have been happening that have been obliterating this channel. I mean, absolutely insane. YouTube is going out of their way to make sure we go out of business. The only way to prevent that is by sharing this video. And plus, just getting this information out there could make the ultimate difference. I truly believe in that. That's why I'm here. That's why I do videos every single day. And that's why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.